The New York Yankees continue to try to pursue some elite starting pitching, continually trying to pursue the San Diego Padres starting pitcher Dylan Cease. Other trade rumors are starting to pick up across Major League Baseball. We get into all of those tonight here at The Upside. And welcome into the MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys taking the time and joining us this evening. There is some news to get to. We'll go through all of those news and notes. But I want to start with some of the trade rumors that we're seeing out there. Persisting is the New York Yankees' insistence on bringing in elite starting pitching tells me that while there might be some easier options for them to bring in via free agency, like a Kyle Gibson or a lower cost option via trade, they're looking elite pitching first and foremost. So maybe they don't get Dylan Cease, maybe they do. But the fact that they're this hard pushing after a starting pitcher at this point in spring training tells you how urgent the need is there in New York. Now, of course, Garrett Cole being out for the year due to Tommy John is one of the starters that's out. Luis Gil is going to miss at least a couple of months, it sounds like. Then, of course, one of your big cogs in your lineup, Giancarlo Stanton, looks like he's going to miss significant time with injuries to both elbows as well. Yankees are in a bit of a pickle when it comes to the injury front. Of course, they have Marcus Stroman, who luckily enough for them, they didn't trade away. So at least they have somebody who has some extensive Major League experience and could still be a nice provider for them on that roster, but they still need more starting pitching. I thought maybe saving the money on Stroman earlier this offseason was the better way to go. I still believe that because I think they could have reinvested that money elsewhere to at least been able to fill the hole in the lineup with adding another impact bat with the money that would have been gone from Stroman. Of course, then you'd had to fill the hole that Stroman would have left Probably would have added somebody in the neighborhood of Jose Urena, Kyle Gibson, somebody along those lines. I think that still would be a very nice move for them to go ahead and do. But when the organization says they don't want to exceed the Cohen tax and they're already about $5 million above it, they're going to be trading away a few contracts here. They're looking for other teams to take on salary. And while they're definitely looking into bringing in an elite starting pitcher, you have to factor in the finances of this as well. Are they for sure going to set sail on that, saying, hey, the heck with this Cohen tax, even though it hamstrung us the entire second half of the offseason when we could have added another impact bat or another impact starting pitcher, adding another elite relief option back there to shorten the game for those starters that might not have the most experience at the major league level because of said injury replacements. Instead of doing it then when they had more options at their disposal, now they're trying to do the impossible and thread the needle ahead of the MLB opening day. So we'll have to see if this ultimately works out for the New York Yankees. I think that if they had it to do all over again, they would have made different investments with their money and come to a better decision quicker here. I still think their preference is to finish below the Steve Cohen tax, whether that be offloading some salary in a Stroman type of a contract or getting whatever other team that they get the player from that they're trying to bring in, say like a Dylan Cease, getting the Padres to pay all of that deal and then giving up a premium of prospects in return so that they can have him at the cost that they want to have him at. That's also a possibility. Likely, probably not, especially in the Padres' case when the whole reason they're looking at trading Dylan Cease is to save the money as well. So they might not get to eat their cake or to have their cake and eat it too, but the Yankees are still in good shape for them to be able to make an addition here. I do think with the activity that we're seeing from that front office, they will make a major addition. All right, welcome in everybody. Appreciate you guys joining us. Cowboys Nation, Doc, Holly, appreciate you guys joining us. Did have a pretty good day. Mookie out for the Tokyo series. I did hear he was been ill pretty much the entire time. So thankfully it's nothing long term. Obviously nothing like a broken bone or anything like that. But would love to have been able to see him in the international series. Let's see here. These pitcher injuries are wild. Right there with you, Cowboys Nation. Mets, Yankees, Rangers, several other teams have now been impacted. Mariners as well. We knew the Dodgers were going to have extensive injury issues in their rotation and in that bullpen before we even got to opening day. When they even signed those free agent deals, we knew that going in. But these injuries are coming fast and furious now. Hopefully we can get to opening day without another significant one. That's my hope. Maybe it's just all small ticky-tack stuff like Clark Schmidt anyway was scratched from his start by the New York Yankees. You worry about that this close to opening day, but it sounds like he had some shoulder soreness, and they're going to actually have him throw a bullpen tomorrow if that soreness is gone. So it sounds like this could be a very short-term thing, so good news for Yankees fans on that front. Cowboys Nation, when you look at it, it feels like half the league starters are already on the IL. Not that many. I wouldn't say that they've had that many injuries, but the significance of them for the Yankees, the significance of them for the Mets, certainly does weigh on the industry, and of course Kirby there in Seattle as well. They should call up Joey Gallo since he is looking for a starting pitching spot. I'll put it this way. Joey Gallo always has had a great arm. He could be an elite reliever, I do believe. He could easily hit triple digits. At least that's what my memory is of him. Of course, this is from 5 years ago when I last remember his throws from the outfield being clocked at over 100 miles an hour. He has the ability to reach that velocity, and that's at least 75% of the game nowadays. Now, of course, can he do it and repeat the delivery and hit spots and miss bats? That's a bigger question. And if you remember a few years back, there was a player named Anthony Gose, who was a failed outfield, infield prospect anyway, decided to go ahead and give it a try as a pitcher and actually pitched a couple of games at the big league level. Never anything to the talent of what Joey Gallo was offensively or defensively or on the mound, in my opinion. But I think Joey Gallo has a chance to at least be a relief pitcher. Do I think he'll be a starter? No. I don't think he'll ever be a starter. But I do think as long as he has that velocity still, he may still be an option out of somebody's bullpen. If you can reach triple digits, there's a good chance an MLB team will take a chance on you in that bullpen. And I think Gallo is going to be given that opportunity with a team. He'll probably start in A-ball and just try to learn how to pitch that kind of thing. If he's able to hit those triple-digit marks, I think he'll be given every opportunity to be able to get to the big leagues quickly if he shows he can locate and be able to repeat his delivery consistently. Now, will he be any good? I don't have any clue. I don't think you guys have any clue either. I think it's a complete wild card here, and if he can continue his MLB career, good on him. Maybe he could be the flexible type of a roster spot as well, kind of like a Michael Lorenzen or a Shohei Ohtani, somebody who can be a two-way player, play a little bit of the outfield, be a good defender out there for you, and be able to get a couple of outs in, say, the 6th or 7th inning. Not saying that this is what championship teams will really try to bring in, but it's teams looking to catch an edge, to make a difference on their roster, a different, unique piece that they can utilize. And Gallo may be that type of player if he can demonstrate the ability to locate the ball over the plate and be able to get batters out. That's going to be the real issue for him. Appreciate you guys joining us. We've got about 30 of you guys with us right now. Be sure to hit that like on the video. Appreciate the hearts in the chat. Those are nice. But make sure you hit that thumbs up on the video. Follow us over on X at UpsideSN and on Facebook, Upside Sports Network. I did want to mention one more thing before we get into our next topic here, is that we talked a couple of months ago about the idea of getting together as a group and going to a game. You guys can reach out to me on social media and so forth, or just message me in the chat and so forth. But let me know, what you guys would be interested in doing, what game you'd be interested in going to. But I'm leaning towards something towards the back half of the year. So we're talking late July, early August, somewhere in there. I'm kind of thinking something around the trade deadline. That way it'd be kind of exciting for all of us to go and do. Understandably, not everybody's going to be able to go, but I think it'd be really cool if we could go to a game and just watch a cool baseball game together and just talk a little sports and, just have some fun. So if you guys have any ideas as to which game you guys would like to see, where you'd like to do it, let us know, and that way we can kind of get a list of people that are serious about doing it together, and we can kind of start a little chat that way and get the ball rolling on that scenario. But wanted to kind of push that one ahead a little bit here. We haven't discussed it too much, but we need to start getting these plans down if we're going to get together as a group. All right, what's up, Cruise Control? Welcome back. Appreciate you joining us. If you guys are new here, again, hit that like button on the video. It really does help us out. And boom, we just saw the Bengals just extended both of their wide receivers. Wow, that's big NFL news there. I might actually make a short video after we finish this live here shortly anyway. But one other thing I wanted to get into is some of the other trade news that we're seeing around starting pitching. Specifically with guys like Jordan Montgomery, specifically continued other options anyway for Dylan Cease and the Chicago Cubs. I've heard that one quite a bit. Blue Jays, I've heard a lot about Max Scherzer's name being available if the seasons go south around the All-Star break. I'm sure this is all very premature around Max Scherzer, but Dylan Cease, that conversation is very real. The conversation around Sandy Alcantara, that is very real. The conversation around King, Arise, even Luis Castillo to a certain extent, all of those are very real discussions. And with the injury to George Kirby, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing goes south on the Mariners early, that they decide to make an addition offensively and trade one of those starting pitchers. Now, their entire point of this offseason was try to add something to this offense, and they really failed to do that so far. Their idea to try to free up some money was trading Luis Castillo, and that may still be what they choose to do at some point. At a certain point around Christmas, they made the decision, hey, instead of trying to add and sacrifice from our starting rotation to be able to add offense, we're just going to keep our rotation the best in franchise history and try to win with our pitching. Good on them, but they certainly haven't done enough with the offense. If that offense struggles in the first month of the season, they're going to be without Kirby. If they start to fall behind here, they might try to act early in the season and try to bring in some offense early. In that case, Luis Castillo could be the piece going out if they did something like that. If they decide, hey, we don't have the offense, our pitching is just too injured, they may decide to move on from one of their elite starting pitchers and recoup some value there. Those are just the beginnings of rumors there on Kirby and Gilbert, but do not be surprised if you hear their names floated at the MLB trade deadline. Ocean View, welcome in. Montgomery would be a great going back to the Yankees. I agree. We discussed that one the other night as well. I invite you guys to check out that live that we did the other night. But we discussed how Montgomery would be a good proven option to go back in the rotation for the New York Yankees. While he's certainly not been the same pitcher over the last calendar year, he at least has shown the ability to be a high-quality pitcher in New York. That's a different animal to pitch there anyway. We all know things got off to a rocky start with the Diamondbacks and continue to be rocky there. Maybe just a change of scenery would be what it takes to get him back on the right track. But a lot of question marks for that Yankees rotation. Any and all additions at this point would be welcome for them. Cowboys Nation, I hope Elias doesn't try to trade for him. Castillo's numbers haven't been trending in the right direction the last few years. I don't think he would be the one that they would choose to go after. The strongest rumors I'm hearing around Baltimore right now are around Sandy Alcantara and around Dylan Cease as well. Pablo Lopez has fallen back a little bit as far as the rumors that I've heard around that team, but I still don't think that the Orioles have the pieces to get a deal done. They're going to have to include another team to meet the asking price for Sandy Alcantara. One other bit of news on Dylan Cease is that he had a great outing and kind of a showcase for teams looking to trade for him. 4 1/3, 3 hits, scoreless against the Los Angeles Angels. Again, it's spring training. It's the Los Angeles Angels. Take it with a huge grain of salt there. But Cease is certainly seeing his price stay very, very high, and the Padres have no reason to go ahead and lower that asking price right now. You don't want Cease either. I wouldn't either if I were an Orioles fan. All right, let's have some fun, shall we? Let's do some trades. Let me get this thing pulled up for you guys. There we go. One thing I wanted to kind of do here is we want to do for the Yankees and see what we can do to kind of add them a starting pitcher. We'll start with Dylan Cease because that seems to be the one that's the most hotly discussed right now. What would it cost for the Yankees to be able to bring in Dylan Cease? Well, according to reports, Will Warren was part of the asking price. So we'll make sure we include him in the deal here. What would it take, though? Will Warren's value, 10.8. You're going to need a couple more assets here. You're not going to include Schmidt, Volpe, etc. But you're probably going to have to include Lombard. I think Lombard's probably the easy one here to include. Probably going to have to include Arias here. And they do like catching. Rafael Flores, you're already over. Maybe instead of both of these guys going out, you take out Lombard. You put in Flores. And you give him another starting pitcher piece back, or Ben Rice. If you're giving up Will Warren, I don't think you'd give up Ben Rice. So let's say they do Lelane. You're a little light, so say you go another $2 million on another piece here, just to round out the deal. Say you go Valorio, a 17-year-old outfielder, and there's your trade. Validate and post it. Now, would I do this trade if I'm the Yankees? Well, I think they will do this type of a trade if they're the Yankees, because this is what they've done in the past. We just talked about Joey Gallo transitioning to being a pitcher. Well, look at what the Yankees did to acquire him. Instead of giving up their top prospects, they went ahead and said, hey, take this grab bag of guys between the 10 and 20 range in our prospect pool and take a bunch of them. Take them, Rangers, and we get your outfielder, Joey Gallo. Obviously, it blew up in their face, didn't work, but that's kind of what they chose to do, quantity over quality. And they've done that a few other times in trades. This would be the same approach here. And this would also be worked really well for the Padres last year in their recruiting or in their attempts to try to trade Juan Soto. They're very familiar with the Yankees farm system. I'm sure they've got their own internal notes as far as what they would like just from revisiting their notes from last year and Juan Soto. So this, I think, is kind of a natural fit here as far as a trade. But again, remember Dylan Cease's value right now, according to the Padres, is through the roof. They're asking for big-time pieces back. They're asking for high-quality, blue-chip pieces back. And Will Warren is their blue chip piece that's coming back. I'm not sure that this necessarily meshes with the ask that they have on the table for the Baltimore Orioles. Let's say for one reason or another, talks stall between the Yankees and Padres, and they still need to add another starting pitcher at the top of their rotation. Where, oh where, could they go to get one? Now remember, they're trying to do it quickly here, so it's not going to be a team that's trying to compete this year. They'd have to bail on their team really early this year. Angels, they don't really have a pitcher that really fits the description. Astros are still trying to compete. A's, maybe Severino, but again, they just signed him and they're trying to stay competitive for the foreseeable future. Blue Jays trying to win. Braves don't have that type of player that they could trade away at the moment. They're trying to win. Brewers are short on pitching. They're not looking to trade away. But maybe you could get them to part with Freddie Peralta if you offer them the right pieces back. And they just came together on a trade this offseason already that sent Devin Williams to the Yankees. So maybe they could revisit a trade there for Freddie Peralta. Let's keep it rolling, though. Sonny Gray, he ain't moving out of the Cardinals. Cubs don't have anybody they'd be willing to trade. Diamondbacks have a plethora of starting pitching. You're probably looking Montgomery as the easiest to get, but there are a couple other starters that you might be able to pry away if you make the right offer. Dodgers, not going to happen. Giants, I think Robbie Ray might be the one guy you'd hope for, but he's not a guy that fills in for Garrett Cole. You need something a little bit more proven. Guardians, nothing to speak of that they'd be willing to trade. Mariners, if they were looking to punt on the season and just kind of rebuild their offense a little bit, they could do something there with one of their elite starting pitchers. As of this moment, they're still trying to win the division. That's not happening either. Marlins, we talked about Sandy Alcantara, but there's a couple other starters as well that kind of fit the description here. Cabrera could be a nice 4-5 in that rotation. Weathers could be another nice 4-5 type of a piece in the Yankees rotation. But Sandy Alcantara would certainly be the gem of that type of a trade. I think they're going to try to jack up that price a little bit, though. By the time they get to the All-Star break, you're going to see sky-high prices on him, and I do expect him to get back to that Cy Young level form. Jordan and Stroman in the rotation, yikes. I mean, it's not looking pretty right now for the Yanks due to their injuries in that staff. Mets, they're thin on pitching. They ain't helping you out. Nationals, nothing they can really trade. Orioles ain't helping you out. Padres, Michael King might be the other guy that you might be able to go after there. Phillies, they're not trading you anything out of their rotation. Pirates, they could trade you one of their younger starters there for some offense, but I don't think the Yankees have the right pieces that the Pirates would be looking for in a trade to add offense. Rangers, they're in their own injury pickle with starting pitchers right now. Rays could be a nice fit, but not this early in the season, maybe at the trade deadline. So if you're looking to make an impact trade early right now, it's not going to happen with the Rays. Reds, they have some nice options, but nobody that's really proven. Not a fit. Red Sox, not happening. Rockies, nobody to speak of. Royals, they're locked up. Cole Ragans, anyway. Outside of that, nobody else really fits the bill of what you're looking for. Let's see here. Tigers, Skobal, they're trying to win. They ain't moving him. Twins, maybe you convince them to punt on the season already and give up Pablo Lopez, but I think that's a discussion more for at the trade deadline. I'm curious to see if they make the decision to sell at the deadline or if they decide to trade him in the offseason this upcoming year. White Sox, nothing really in that rotation to speak of either outside of Martin Perez. All right, so let's go back up to the top here. What could be some fits? Well, the one that makes the most sense to me as far as other surprise names that might work is the Milwaukee Brewers. And you're like, Michael, they need starting pitching. They need Freddie Peralta at the top of their rotation. But remember, he doesn't have a whole lot of time left on that deal. And look how much money he's making. Pittance. The Yankees could easily fit this type of a deal onto their books. Is he a true ace? No. Is he somebody that could come in and be a 2 or a 3 for the Yankees? You betcha. So if the Brewers were able to make this type of a trade, they're going to want significant value back in return. So what could the Yankees give up? Remember, you're going to need to send at least a starting pitcher back the other way. So Will Warren is the natural guy that probably fits going the opposite way. Schmidt could be another piece, but I think they would choose to hold him out of this discussion. Lombard would definitely have to be in this deal. You definitely have to include Arias, and let's see how close we are with just those pieces already. We're about 9 away with 3 pieces. Okay, 9 away. So say you go Lane to give you another starting pitcher option. Now you're about 5 away here. They have a really good catcher already. They don't need another. Selvage probably makes the most sense here. And maybe a Cunningham. That'd be too much there. Let's go to page 3 and go to really low value pieces here. Say you get an 18-year-old outfielder just to round out the deal. 6 pieces in exchange for Freddie Peralta, and you are giving up quality and quantity in this deal. I think this would be a trade the Yankees say no to. It's just too much. Validate the trade. They say it's a fair deal, but I think this is way too much. The Yankees would have to get another major league piece back in return. So if they did something like this, maybe they attach a bullpen arm to it. Piamps could be a nice one. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put him in there. So say the Yankees decide to do that. You take out Maya. You go back over to the Yanks side of things. You go back up to page 1. We need about another 3 value here. So maybe you go Ben Hess or a Schlitter. Let's go with Elmer Rodriguez. No, let's go Chase Hampton. Because he's injured, his value dropped a little bit. He's having Tommy John. He's out for the year. But his value before this injury was around a 5. So you're kind of counting on him rebounding some value there. So there's 2 pitchers that would go to the Yankees. 1 bullpen arm to help him out, lengthen out that bullpen. And Freddie Peralta to help him out with the loss of Garrett Cole. Freddie Peralta is not Garrett Cole. Let's not confuse them. But Peralta would be a really good 3 at the lowest in that rotation. Maybe a high-end 2 at his best. Let's post it to the trade board. Honestly, I kind of like this deal for them. Again, they're kind of getting rid of a lot of their depth options in the minors, but, I mean, the Yankees have never had a problem getting depth in that minor league system either. All right, let's try to catch up on a few of these comments here. Sandy, maybe not for the asking price. Guys coming off TJ, yikes. True, but remember what the asking price is as well. He's got 3 years left to control. He still looks very, very good. I don't have any issues with him having the Tommy John. He's going to be healthy. Usually the timetable for guys coming back off of Tommy John is they're usually pretty good for about 5-6 years before they're going to need another Tommy John. So, I think this is about the right time to go after Sandy Alcantara, and then maybe you don't give him that next big contract, but he would certainly be a perfect fill-in there for Garrett Cole. But as far as his price, 20-year-old guys are under, nobody major league ready. Position players is their preference, but they'll take a starter if they have to. But they would prefer, guys, 17, 18, 19 that are all position players, high upside pieces, somebody that they can really grow with in the Marlins organization. Let's see here. We should get credit with the Marlins front office after they robbed us last season on Rodgers. I'll put it this way. You already bailed out the Marlins front office for the bad signing they made of keeping Giancarlo Stanton. As far as the Marlins owing you a favor for taking that contract or other bad moves in the past, that's unfortunately not how it works. But I get your sentiment there. All right, Steven, Yankees just got burned on a Soto rental. I don't think they would do it. I think they're looking at back end of the rotation. That's kind of what I think they're trying not to do right now. That's why they're consistently trying to push for Dylan Cease. I would not be surprised, though, if we see a big trade here in the early month or 2 of the season for the Yankees to address an impact starting pitcher. Knock him down, Lodolo. I hope he has a good year with the Reds. I will say that one. Locksmart, welcome back. At least the Yankees didn't hold on to Verdugo. D-Rod, welcome in. Agree, Michael. This is too much for Peralta alone, but I've always been a fan of Peralta. Yankees knew that Soto could be a rental, and he helped them get to the World Series. You make that trade every day. I will say the piece that they gave up, Michael King, only has 1 year left. They got a couple other pieces back in that deal as well. Good on the Brewers for divesting themselves of that situation. But I think the Yankees not getting anything in return, losing him for basically compensation, essentially is not going to help them out at all. Yankees, to me, needed to make bigger additions to this team after losing Juan Soto, and instead they decided budget was going to deter them in the second half of free agency. I really liked what they did in the first half of free agency. They were really active around the winter meetings. They were active in trade discussions. They were very methodical, and then they just hit a wall financially and just stopped. And that, to me, is where the difference is between where the Yankees could be and where I think they will finish. Welcome in, Hank. Well, you know what they say. No matter what, there's always an Upside Sports Network. Appreciate you joining us once again. We had our first episode of the Upside Sports Talk show. That was around 11 o'clock today. The graphics are still a little raw. We'll be working with those. The format we'll be working with as well. Got a couple of segments we're going to have as staples every single week. For now, we're going to keep it weekly. And as we go through the month of April and into May, we'll probably add an extra show every week. Probably do one on Sundays and another one on Wednesdays. We'll have our MLB Power Ranking show coming out for you guys on Wednesday this week. that'll be updated with all the injury news that has happened so far in spring training. You'll see some teams have plummeted quite a bit. Other teams have really risen up because of some really strong performances in spring from some of their young players that look like might be able to solidify some holes on their roster as we gear up for opening day. But appreciate you guys joining us. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. I want to do one other trade before we head out for the evening, and just something that I've been kind of thinking about the last couple of days here is there's a couple of teams that are around that periphery, teams that are wild card contenders for sure, but aren't necessarily considered a World Series type of a team. So one thing that kind of struck me is that there's a lot of teams that could flex up their payroll situations here or completely get out of it. So one team for me, let me pull it up here for you guys, that really kind of sticks out as a team that could really jump up their payroll and try to contend if they wanted to, and that's the Detroit Tigers. Okay? There's a couple different ways this scenario could work out. One, you trade Scoball, get a bunch of pieces back, really high value pieces, but you make yourself worse going forward. You're going to have to watch those pieces grow, and eventually they become more than what Scoball was all by himself, but that's one way to continue to try to grow there in Detroit. The other way is you realize you got a lot of good young talent already coming, premium talent, and you go ahead and add to that talent group as well. Flex up that payroll. Take on some bigger contracts from other clubs that might not hold so much value because of how expensive those deals are. And yes, you don't like bringing in bad money. I get it. That's why you didn't bring in Alex Bregman. I think that was a miss for them as well. But that's one team I think could really flex up their payroll. Now, Michael, where do you think they could go to make a trade here to make an impactful difference to this roster? Well, let me pull up the St. Louis Cardinals. To me, the Cardinals have the best of both worlds here for Detroit. They have a bat and a relief pitcher that solve big holes for this Detroit Tigers team. Yes, they have some good young talent coming over there at third base and Jace Young. They could obviously flex him to left field or wherever they want to if they need to. Maybe even make Arenado a DH. That's a possibility there as well. But the Tigers, to me, need one more professional hitter in that lineup. And while Arenado is on the back nine of his career, probably on the final 3 or 4 holes of his career, honestly, he still have to waive his no trade and that kind of a thing. But the Cardinals also have other pieces that fit well as well. Ryan Helsley would certainly be an upgrade for their bullpen, lock down some games for them. Remember, the Tigers have been looking for a closer all offseason long and really never addressed it. But that's one team I'm thinking has a real chance to flex up their payroll here if they so chose to do so. Now, the Cardinals, let's look at their major league guys, and I want to pull up guys who have 1 year left on their deal or less, or 1 year, 2 years left. Eric Fedde in the rotation. I don't think he really fits in Detroit, but would give them another starting pitcher with Alex Cobb having his injury issues, only making $7.5 million. But Ryan Helsley, for me, is the perfect signing or perfect trade candidate here for the Tigers. So we'll go ahead and go there first. I'm leaning towards Eric Fedde being included here because I think they could use some more pitching depth, but I think offense is more of a need for them. Nolan Arenado would be the guy I would try to recruit there to Detroit. I would say, hey, look, Nolan, I get it. You want to be in a competitive spot. You want a chance to win a World Series. But here's the thing. We have a great rotation. We have a lot of good young talent offensively, more young talent in the pitching staff coming in. Yes, our bullpen is a little shaky, but we're bringing your teammate Ryan Helsley in this trade with you. We are in a very winnable division with the Twins, the Guardians, the Royals, and of course the Tigers. White Sox are not a factor as of yet. But if we catch fire, if our rotation plays up to what we expect it to, and you're here, you improve our offense to what we expect you to be able to, not necessarily going better than what you were last year, but just improving the baseline of what this team is overall offensively, maybe they convince him to waive the no trade. But that's one spot I think they could really improve their roster if they so choose. So you include Helsley, you include Arenado, -3 value. That's a lot of money that they're sending to the Tigers as well, about $8-ish million on Helsley, about $62 million over 3 years for Arenado. Cardinals, of course, may throw in another $15 million so they can get a nice piece back or two. The Tigers, of course, don't want to trade some of that young talent, but you have to give to get here. So if they gave up, say, a young catcher like Jose Briseño, maybe that'd be one of the headliners and then give you another piece back later on. You could go with a young starting pitcher like a Herder. Maybe you go with a first base prospect who might not be a part of your long-term plans in Justin Henry Malloy. Maybe you go that route. But either way, Tigers have a lot of good young pieces that could go the other way in this deal. Now let's say Arenado just says, nope, I ain't going anywhere. I don't care. Detroit, have fun. I would love to, see y'all win. Nothing against you, but I want to go where I want to go. If that's the case, Ryan Helsley would still be a significant upgrade for that bullpen and would make them right there as among those favorites in a very difficult American League Central. I think that would win or increase their win total this year by probably 2, maybe 3 wins just by bringing him in. But if they choose to wait until the trade deadline, his impact will obviously be felt a lot less because he won't be available for the full 162, but only available to pitch in maybe 30 to 40 games down the stretch. As far as how many reasonable games you might be able to expect out of him in August and September at best, but that would still be a really nice pickup for the Tigers. Another team that kind of caught my eye as far as where they could go, as far as a team that could really jump up their pedigree on the National League side of things here, is the Chicago Cubs. They already have the stated goal that they're all in for 2025. Well, let's see it. If they flex up their payroll here and go after a Dylan Cease, or say they go after another, starting pitcher, a guy who could be a number 1 in their rotation, this is someone I think could be available at the deadline, and I think would really help them out in both their win now models and in their future as well, because they're going to have multiple years of control with him. So, what would his value be? Let me get it pulled up for you guys. There you go. Pablo Lopez would be one piece. Joe Ryan would be another one. Bailey Ober. All these guys are 29 years old with roughly $3 million left. Lopez obviously has the biggest salary out of these guys. I think he'd be the first one that goes out of that group because of that salary as well. So you're going to have to give to get here. 46 is a lot for the Cubs to have to give up in any trade. But who could be the headliner? You're not including Shaw, Armstrong, Bush. Horton might have to be the first piece that you include in this deal, and I think he would. So there's your first piece. Cade Horton. Ben Brown, I think you get one or the other, and I think you'd rather have the value of Horton to make this deal a little bit closer here. Kevin Alcantara, Moises Ballesteros could be your catcher piece in this deal. I'd say the Twins love catching prospects right now. They're trying to get more to work there. So you're already really close with just 2 pieces here. I think they'd want a little bit more volume in this trade to kind of wrap it up. So let's say they go the 18-year-old shortstop, and then they go really young. Another 18-year-old low-value shortstop there. Maybe a little too low. Let's go a little higher. Let's see. Let's go with Ronnie Cruz. So there's your trade. Cubs add Pablo Lopez to be the number 1 for their rotation. Twins, meanwhile, get a really good starting pitching prospect, a great catching prospect, and 2 lottery tickets at shortstop. On the other side of the coin here for the Twins is Royce Lewis, once again, is injured hamstring strain. Sounds like it'll be a short-term injury, probably going to miss a couple of weeks to start the season. But anytime you start having soft tissue injuries early in the year, these things have a tendency to continue to crop up and continue to be issues there. So let's validate the trade. We'll post it. And there's the Cubs trade deadline there, bringing in an all-in 2025 move by trading for Pablo Lopez. Alrighty, Heel, welcome in. If Jack Leiter doesn't deliver this season, do we use him to get Cease? No. Remember, Cease is a free agent after the year anyway. I think they're going to give Jack Leiter the entire year and then some to really try to latch on at the big league level this year. I think this year and the beginning of next year will be put up or shut up time for Jack Leiter if he can handle it. I think they'll treat him with kid gloves in the first half of this season. Second half, they'll be expecting some proven results out of him. D-Rod, if Alcantara is made available, the Yankees won't be the only team on him. It can become pricey. I think it will be pricey, and I think the Dodgers are the only team that can really pay the piper there for what the Marlins are really looking for and be able to outbid the other teams without including other teams in the deal to get the deal done. Anytime you're dealing heads up with a team, it's a lot easier to get a deal done than anytime you're including 3, 4, 5 teams in a trade just to satisfy everybody's needs in that trade. Locksmart, fans would not be liking trade of Skubal, not worse than Doncic, but pretty close. I will say if this team doesn't perform well in the first couple of months of the season, I do expect the news around Scoball to pick up as far as trade availability. Would I say it's to the level of Luka? Not even close. But I would say that they have a lot of great young talent coming. He's only signed for a couple more years, if I remember correctly. In fact, let me just look at his value right now because I'm kind of curious. I can't remember off the top of my head. Starting pitcher. Scoball, 75, and he's got 2 years left. So this year and next, you could get a haul for him if you traded him now. If you waited, you might miss the boat here like the Angels did with Shohei Ohtani, because I'm not sure he re-signs there. That's the thing. Let's see here. Heel, also, in my opinion, Josh Smith should be an everyday player, or let's trade him and get a great player back. No kidding. I'm right there in the boat with you there, Heel. I do think Smith will be used a lot like Michael Young was after the Rangers acquired Adrian Beltre. It's a valuable role, but anytime you can get a proven performer at a certain spot, you'd prefer to have that everyday starter there in that spot over a multi-positional guy, even with as great versatility as he has. Those guys, generally, you can find them for a couple $1,000,000 in free agency, and maybe they're not quite as good as Josh Smith, but the difference between him and the replacement for him is a whole lot less than the difference between a superstar player that you're trading for and what you currently have in that roster spot. So if you can maximize the value of Josh Smith, I would choose to do so, especially with all the middle infield pieces that the Rangers really have coming. I'm really excited to see if Jonathan Ornelas makes this team early this year. I don't think he'll make it out of spring training, but I think he should. And then, of course, you got a couple of pieces who really performed well in spring that might get some early looks for the Rangers as well. None bigger than Alejandro Osuna. Jojo Romero is a good reliever. I do agree as well. Sean, since Chase and Higgins got extended, does that mean Trey Hendrickson is gone? I do believe so. They've got a couple of defenders, Pratt and Hendrickson, who both requested trades, and I do think they both will be gone. Royce Lewis did get injured again. We discussed that one. Mark, Rangers need to sail? No, I don't think so. I think the Rangers, with the new ownership that was brought in with Ray Davis, they really have been committed to winning. And I get it, you don't like them trying to duck underneath the luxury tax threshold. But look at all the other teams not named the Los Angeles Dodgers and how they treat the luxury tax. It's quite onerous to be in there and be in there as a repeater. So this is good for them to kind of reset their floor. They're still a really good team. They're the best odds in the American League to win the World Series, in case you guys didn't notice. I know they get a lot of bad press because of their limitations financially, but I think they still did a great job on a budget. Do they still have holes? Absolutely. No team in Major League Baseball is devoid of holes right now. So I still think they're a very good team, but no, I don't think the Rangers need to be sold. D-Rod, with the Cubs package be enough to trade for Alcantara? It'd be darn close as well, just to be a matter of which one you'd prefer to do. But again, they're wanting guys that are 20 or under. That Cubs package did not rise to that there. Steven, if Alcantara is healthy, I think the Mets have the capital to get it done. I think they have the capital. I'm not sure they have the pieces that interest the Marlins the way that they would hope. I think they're still looking for 20 and under guys that are position players first and foremost. Mets have some really good prospects. Some of them are position players. A few of them would fit the description of what they're looking for, but I don't think they'd be able to part with enough compared to a team like the Dodgers or other teams that have the youth on their side to be able to get it done as well. Mark, the injuries are just devastating for their rotation. True, but they do have in-house options to go to right now. Now, of course, you were hoping to at least get through the first few weeks of the season without having to go into that depth, but there's a reason why you have another guy in your bullpen, Dane Dunning, who can be a spot starter. You have Jack Leiter, you got Kumar Rocker, you signed Hauser in the offseason. Patrick Murphy's been lights out this spring training as well. Maybe he's an early season call-up that ultimately gets DFA'd after a month once Bradford's healthy, and then Gray comes back sometime in June, early July, but we shall see. Not sold on batting or on bullpen either. I think they've got some decent options back there. I'm really excited to see if they make some room for Joe Barlow and Mark Church early in the season. I think those two guys are going to be great. Now, I'm with you as far as some of the other veterans that they brought in, like Alexander. Didn't really understand that one. I actually like the signing of Milner, but he's been terrible so far in the spring. But bullpens are always mercurial. 1 year they're great, 1 year they're poor. They did sign a lot of guys who were off of not so stellar seasons, so maybe they're due to have a great season this year. That's just the nature of the beast when you're talking about anybody not named Mariano Rivera when it comes to the bullpen. Rocker going to be thrown into the fire, hoping he rocks. I hope so as well, but they're trying to limit his innings, so I'm not sure how this will really affect him. Maybe they put him on the shelf in June, July, once Gray and so forth are back, manage his innings at that point, and then just say, hey, just throw some bullpens on the side. We'll throw you for a game in the minors every now and again, just to keep you loose for about a month, and then we'll bring you back up in August, September. That way you could be there for the pennant chase and all that kind of thing, and we'll see if we have enough innings left in your arm by the time we get to October. But all those are ifs around Kumar Rocker because the innings issue around him. But who knows if he even gets injured. Don't want to hope for injury, but it's a long baseball season. It's 162 games. It lasts 6 months and change. You're going to have times where things aren't going to go great, and you need to have options to go to. Rocker is one of those options for the Rangers, along with Jack Leiter. Alrighty. Appreciate you guys joining us. Be sure to hit that like button. Right now we got about 24 of you guys with us. Only got 14 likes. Let's see if we can bump up that number just a little bit before we head out. But make sure you join us tomorrow night for MLB Hot Stove Daily. We'll get into a few of the other news and notes from around Major League Baseball, possibly do some more trade talks as well. Larry, the Yankees need another hitter at third base and a starting pitcher. They need both. No argument here. They just have shown an unwillingness to spend to solve those issues. I thought Bregman would have been a great piece. Arenado would have been okay. But they chose to save some money here. And I think they're going to rue the day that they had a real chance to win a World Series. That the American League was kind of, anybody could have really jumped out there and trying to take it from them, and they chose to kind of abstain from making a big addition here. Sure, they lost their big fish in Juan Soto and made the addition of Goldschmidt, Bellinger, and Fried, and of course the trade for Williams at the back end of their bullpen. But to me, the sum of the parts may work out great for the regular season. I have my doubts when you get to October. Sean, Mookie Betts not playing in the Japan series. True. Sounds like the illness bug finally got him, and hopefully he gets better soon. Nothing long term, it doesn't sound like. So again, just wishing him the best of health. All right, appreciate you guys joining us. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night. Hit that like and subscribe. Follow us on X at Upside SN and on Facebook, Upside Sports Network. And again, reach out to us on our socials if you are interested in joining us for a baseball game later this year. Late July, early August, around the trade deadline is when I'm hoping to do this. So kind of let us know your ideas, who's actually interested, those kinds of things. Shoot us a message there, and we'll try to get a little group chat going and see what we can do to come up with and see what game we can choose to go to. But appreciate you guys joining us. Y'all have a great evening out there. Stay safe, everybody.